Hi everyone, this is a quick video for anyone going through the A-level and GCSE history exam preparations at the moment. Anyone revising for essay-based topics, also welcome to stick through this as well because it's going to be really beneficial. I'm just going to run through some quick housekeeping and then some more specific techniques that you might want to employ to get the most out of your revision time. And this really goes through before you sit down to when you sit down and planning for the future, right up until those exams. So straight away in with the housekeeping, getting yourself in the right state of mind, get yourself in a quiet space. You don't want to be in, say, your house if it's going to be really noisy at certain times that you're putting aside for yourself, and you don't want to be in any other kind of location where you've got a lot of noise that's going to mess with your concentration. Always say top tip is to use a library because it's a dedicated quiet space that anyone can go to for free to sit down to start doing some preparation for yourself. And also while you're in there, anyone that's doing A-level especially will be able to get out more books, use online resources and anything else that's in that library to help with the independent study part of your work. So that works out quite nicely for you if you're planning that. Next is absolutely zero social media, absolute ban on it. You need to be able to focus on your education, whether you put aside an hour or two. Okay, no social media is not a difficult thing to do if you're really prioritizing your education and you're serious about it. If it's going to be too difficult, turn your phone off, keep it away from you. If you're in a library, don't take it with you, unless you need it, obviously, to get to and from places, but just make sure it's turned off. Again, it can be the same with a laptop. If you use a library computer, rarely get the opportunity or you have to go through everything to sign into these things. So it may even be better to use a library computer if you know you can get distracted. But just make sure you're setting aside time to really focus on what it is you need to focus on. So they're really my only two major housekeeping things. Is when you sit down, you're in the best frame of mind and you know you're not going to get distracted. You know the time you set yourself aside here now is going to be the time when you can get the most benefit out of doing your revision. So we'll have a look at some specific actual techniques now. The first I call a checklist of topics, and this is more really just a mental checklist. It can be a written one so you have a visual cue for it as well. And it's just really knowing where you are when you sit down to start this revision session. So you need to know what it is you've covered so far, whether that's in your studies so far through school, and also what you've covered so far in your revision. So have you covered what it is you need to cover so far in your revision? And if not, you need to know how you're going to go about doing that. This is really a sort of timeline, really a process you need to have a look at. So you've sat down wherever you've chosen to study for this period of time, and you need to know what you want to get at the end of it. You need to really understand that you need to be realistic in what you expect to achieve in an hour or 2 hours, but it also needs to be able to go somewhere. You shouldn't just be sitting down thinking, I know I need to do this, and not have a plan of where you need to be at the end of it, because then you don't get any further really along the line. You just sit down the next time and you're in the same place, or you study the same thing twice, or you really go over sort of round in circles of something you could have had a quick plan on. And this can take sort of 5 minutes at the start just to know what it is you're trying to do, so you don't flip between things. The next thing is to really understand how you're assessed. This is understanding whether you have one breadth and one depth study to focus on, to understand how broad the context is you need to understand, or whether it's drilling down into a particular topic. Whether you have one and two or two of each, understanding that's really quite important. Do you know if you're sitting down to do a source-based exam? Is the first half of your exam going to be source-based? Is the second half then going to be an essay? Understanding whether you need to answer sources or pull information from sources is important. It's a key element of studying history at A-level and at GCSE. And if you're not quite sure of maybe how to pull out the right things from sources and answer them, I do have a video here on History School Online that you can go and have a look at that will run you through really what you need to be looking at and how you're going to go about answering those source-based questions. So go and check that out. These sorts of things, however, they're really sort of important to understand that you know how your revision is going to work, and make sure that what you're revising actually gets you to where you need to be when it comes to the exam, because that's what you're sitting down to revise for, right? You need to know that what you're doing now is going to have a benefit when it comes to your essays when you sit down to take your exams. If it's not likely to have a benefit, a direct benefit, that you can sit down for 2 hours and you don't know what it is you're doing, maybe just rethink that 2 hours slightly and plan to make sure you know what it is you're being assessed on so that you can really gear towards answering those questions. The next main thing is to plan your essays. First thing you want to do when you sit down, you see the questions you think you're going to answer in an exam, is make a quick plan. Okay, history is not multiple choice, so you need to sit down. You need to have the ability to communicate what it is you know and what you've picked up through your time studying this course, and be able to communicate it to myself, to an examiner, to really make sure you're answering the question. To take time to plan essays, and you can do this whilst revising as well. You can take a number of past exam examples and just plan them. The next thing you need to think about once you've planned any essays is your structure. This is again before you go into to actually write an essay. How are you structuring it? You need to know how it is you're setting up your essays, because if you sit down in an exam and you just start writing, you're not going to be answering the question. Okay, knowing the topic and knowing the information and dates is half the battle. It may feel like a really key battle and a really difficult battle to win, but the other half is actually telling me and an examiner that you know that topic well enough to get top marks. You can't just know the information, you need to be able to present it to me and tell me that you know it, because a key part is evaluation and analysis, which is how you use the information. It's not just putting it on the page and just making it look like you've really understood and really taken in numbers and dates and people and places, but knowing why that's important, why that's relevant, giving me some context and really how it helps your argument that you're making. And I'll be making other videos on this channel as well to explain some essay structures and some how we might go about planning in the future. So just keep an eye on this channel as well. Now, the best way that you're going to be able to revise for history exams is simply going to be to write full essays on the topics, especially those you're not keen on, especially those you don't understand very well. This is going to cement ideas in your head. It's going to get you really prepared when you come to your actual exams, and it's going to mean that you actually know sort of your timings as well, because they're really important. There's nothing worse than looking up in an exam, realizing you're only just starting your last essay. You've got 15 minutes left, 20 minutes left, and you really need to just write stuff down. If you've planned and you've written these out before, and you know your timings roughly for them, how long you're realistically expected to get to, then you can sort of be a bit more confident in going about answering them in your exams. And remember, teachers are there to help you, but they're there to help you as long as you want helping. So you need to go to them for help. Then you can't expect them to come to you because you got a bad mock or because they see you're struggling. A-level learning is more about understanding that you're now a young adult, that really you're going to take a lot more responsibility on yourself. And teachers just are amazing humans, and they'll always go above and beyond for students. So just make sure you appreciate that they've got other people they need to cater for as well, but they will always do whatever they can to help, as long as you go to them with specific requests, not just generic kind of I need help to get a B. You need help on this particular topic in this particular area. Like, I don't know how to structure this properly, or I'm not really understanding this area so much. Where can I go to get this? But, you go with really targeted questions. They've got something specific to answer. And all I would say after that really is that if you can sit down, get yourself in a place where you're going to be optimal for getting revision, and then you follow these steps to really plan your revision and get to where you need to be when it comes to exams, you're going to do so much better than when you sit down and just not know where it is you're heading. So with that, really thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more from this channel in terms of some more how to revise and more topic specific content on the channel. Thanks guys.